Sphere is where we're going to focus on mostly. Bridgevine on the left, Grixis Urza on the right. Jonathan Hobbs is playing Humans against Andrew Shrout playing Burn, which is actually a pretty close matchup traditionally. Though, I don't think Shrout has Searing Blazes or Searing Bloods on the weekend.
No, I mean, he's a little light. I think 1 in the main and 2 in the sideboard.
Okay.
You're 100% done to Oriok champion, so a lot of it's going to come down to how many copies of that is in Hobbs' sideboard. I don't have it in front of me.
Sure.
Nor am I going to open up this tablet. So if you'd like to find out.
Oh, so it's on me. Okay. Okay, well, at least you're clear and honest. I'll do the work here.
Go look up David L. Lawrence.
Yes, that's good. We'll both get something done here. It's Hobbs you want? Then it's Hobbs. It's young Johnny Hobbs you're going to get. Oriok Champions, 3 in the board. None in the main. Is that okay? And then for Jeremy Bertarioni, he's playing Mardu Death Shadow against Aaron Barich playing Bant Infect. And that matchup should be fairly close. Should be fairly close. How we doing on that Google search there, bud?
Well, it appears that David L. Lawrence was a former governor of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I believe served as mayor of Pittsburgh in the early to mid 1900s.
Strikes me as an important job. Yeah.
Yes.
We're in his building. You want to go deep?
Okay.
You want to go deeper down that rabbit hole?
Oh, no, this is great. During
Okay.
his 4-year term as governor, Lawrence passed anti-discrimination legislation,
Heck yeah, he did.
environmental protection laws, expanded Pennsylvania's library system, passed Pennsylvania's fair housing law, and advocated historic preservation. Passed some vigorous highway safety legislation. Yep. Okay.
He's a big fan of me, and I'm a big fan of him.
Not someone whose politics have aged poorly in the last 10 years.
So it appears.
Yeah.
So it appears.
Great.
These players all take a look at their opening hands. Again, we're going to focus on this Grixis Urza deck, which actually might end up being the breakout deck of the tournament. Talking to Harlan and Brian here this weekend, Harlan was very adamant about his Bridgevine matchup, but also said he did not skimp on hate. He's got Tormod's Crypt. He's got Nile Spellbombs. He's got Ley Lines. Like he's got Word of Invention to find some of that stuff. He's got Ensnaring Bridge. He's got a Pithing Needle for Alter Dementia. He's got it all.
Ready game 1 for it, and that's a big part of it. Even if your sideboard's really good for the matchup, it's tough to win. You stumble a little bit. You're on the draw at least one of the games. The more that you can do work in game 1 to actually give yourself a shot against these sort of decks, obviously the better your match is going to be overall. Harlan's got a lot of interaction game number 1, a lot of cards that range from reasonable interaction to, if they come up at the right time, the game's effectively over. And he's got a little bit more to work with in the sideboard.
Well, we will be giving these players the green light here in just a moment, and we're going to start our semifinals here from Pittsburgh, and that is pretty exciting. On the other side of things, Bostecki, Colville, and Mangus going up against Satterfield, Horton, and Kelly. And if we have time to get our eyes on that match, we will certainly try to. But one of those teams is going to be moving on to the finals to face one of these teams, and Patrick and I will be bringing you that as well. Crown our champions here in Pittsburgh, and then, of course, do a winner's interview with Nick Miller in the sideboard as we are underway in the finals. Dom Harvey smacking Harlan away here. Blackcleave Cliffs is where this game starts. And we'll see what Dom wants to do on the first turn. It'll be a Stitcher Supplier. He'll turn over 3 lands and pass the turn back over to Harlan. Harlan picked up a copy of Urza, Lord High Artificer.
The deck is not just a prison deck, though. I watched Harlan actually win the game on turn 3 earlier in this tournament. Get some very explosive draws with Urza if you can flood the battlefield with some cheap artifacts in the early turns.
This might be your next Mox Opal deck, folks. This deck has looked really, really good when we watched Harlan play. And Brian, too.
Yep.
And neither player, I would say, is prone to hyperbole about their decks. Mm-hmm. I think if they think their decks suck, they're happy to say it, and if they think their deck's good, they'll also say as much in a way that's actually meaningful. And they both really, really like this deck quite a bit. So that's a Tormod's Crypt. That's that main deck copy. Dom can't be thrilled to see that.
Although we've seen Bridgefinder over the course of this weekend, and a lot of the deck's strength come from the fact that it can operate outside of the graveyard.
Yep.
You get beat down draws with your creatures. Hodak, you can leverage a variety of different ways. Sometimes it only takes one Bridge from Below or Vengevine to trigger a Tormod script from the opposing player, and you can just gas back up out of your graveyard. So certainly good for Fear to naturally draw it, but Harvey's by no means doomed by this.
One thing you had mentioned, too, is for some of the decks that we have seen this weekend, like Jeremy's, these numbers actually look rather tested.
Yeah.
And for Harlan, these cards that he's got going on here in his main deck that he can search for with Warrior of Invention or use with Urza, like these are numbers that don't look random to me.
Well, among the artifacts, it's a lot of 4s and 1s.
Yep.
In fact, the only 2 of appears to be Mind Stone. So everything is a redundant engine piece or a tutor target.
This will be a Carrion Feeder. And Harlan is going to respond to the Carrion Feeder, it looks like, right away with the Tormod's Crypt. So Crypt is going to resolve. So those 3 lands are gone from the graveyard. And now Harvey's going to sacrifice Polluted Delta. That was a quick Crypt.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's being initiated there that's that threatening.
I mean, maybe stopping your opponent from playing Hogak on this turn because he can't handle it?
Sure, okay, yep. I forgot that you just cast that thing for...
It costs like nothing.
For nothing.
Yep. There's Insolent Neonate. There's an attack for 1. You do get yourself in spots where you had wished that you had fired off the Crypt a little bit sooner, and then all of a sudden it's too late. Insolent Neonate is going to sacrifice itself. Bridge from Below will be the discard. And now Dom is, now it makes you wonder if, oh boy. Sacrifice the Citrus Supplier to the Carrion Feeder. Another zombie, 2 bridges in the graveyard. Here's Hogak, so makes you wonder, was the use of the Tormod's Crypt correct?
Well,
we're done.
It's not great to... It is not great to...
Dom is dabbing on him.
Use a Tormod's Crypt in sort of modest circumstances to play around Hodak and then just have him do it to you anyway.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Not great.
Nope.
But, what are you going to do?
That's why they give you 3. That's why they give you 3
What are you
games.
gonna
Do? Well, let's go to Harlan's sideboard. 4 Leyline of the Void that you know are coming in. 2 Psy Master Thopterus. 2 Fatal Push. 2 Surgical Extraction. 2 Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas. 2 Galvanic Blast, and a solo copy of Dead of Winter.
Well, you have the anti-graveyard cards here in Leyline of the Void and Surgical Extraction. Those ones are pretty easy to bring in. Past that, I could be talked into another sweeper. When watching Harlan play this matchup in the quarterfinals, it looked like he brought in the Galvanic Blast as well.
Mm-hmm. Saw the Dead of Winter, too.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be kind of interesting to see if he wants to mix anything up here after he got obliterated in game number 1. For Dom, 4 Wismares, 3 Crypt Breakers, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Leyline of the Void, a Plague Engineer, and a copy of Wear Tear.
Wear Tear seems pretty easy to bring in. I like the Crypt Breakers in this matchup. If Harlan's attacking the graveyard, they're kind of a nice backup plan. And if he's got the space, I can see the Thoughtseizes as well.
Okay, well, those are the options there for both players. Game number 2 will be underway here momentarily. Of course, much like we've done with every other match, we're going to be moving around as much as we can to these other matches between Humans and Burn and Mardu Death Shadow and Bant Infect. And, of course, as every game is completed, we will update our scoreboard for you lovely viewers at home. In the meantime, we want to talk about where the SCG Tour is headed here in season number 2. We're here in Pittsburgh this weekend, June 29th and the 30th, for a Team Modern Open. Worcester for Core Set 2020 release weekend. That'll be a Standard Open, July 13th and the 14th. And then the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, for a little team constructed action the week after Worcester.
After that, we head to Columbus the last weekend of July. That'll be Modern. August is Richmond and Dallas. That's team constructed in Modern. 1 Open in September. That's Legacy in Syracuse, September 14th and 15th. October's pretty stacked. We've got Philadelphia, Indianapolis, the regional championship, and an Open in Atlanta to round out the Opens for the year. After that, November will give us SCG Con Winter featuring the Star City Games Invitational. That's November 14th through the 17th. And to round out the year, the Players Championship, Roanoke, Virginia, December 13th through 15th.
Playmats very quickly here, folks. Captain's Quarters. illustrated by Titus Lunter for our standard Open and Classic players. Next one is Aurora's Light, illustrated by the incredibly talented John Avon for all of our modern Classic and Open players. And last but certainly not least is Ripped from Reality, illustrated by Mark Teeden for our Legacy Open and Classic players. All these playmats here are free and exclusive when entering any Open, Classic, Infinite Challenge, or Sealed Spectacular package. Go to starcitygames.com/schedule for more information. Game number 2 about to be underway here between Harvey and Harlan Fear. Harlan, pretty known name around the SCG Tour now. He's got 2 Open titles. Looking to work towards a 3rd one here. The Open top 8s are starting to rack up. And for Dominic Harvey, broke onto the scene earlier this year with that Team Open runner-up finish at the beginning of the year alongside his buddies from Canada. And then winning the Open the very next week in Worcester with a very innovative take, and I mean very, on Amulet Titan, beating Tarek Patel, his good friend, in the finals. Neither are qualified for the Players' Championship just yet, but I have a feeling that we'll probably see both of them at the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll be on a little bit of a hiatus in terms of taking shape for that tournament as we just have kicked off Season 2, but we'll be towards the end of the year in no time. Dominic Harvey had a really solid first season, but not enough to secure an invite to the Players' Championship, but I also expect him to be in Roanoke at the end of the year.
I think one of those at-large bids at the end of the year is going to be pretty nice for him. Right now, as I take a look at the leaderboard, if we were to look at large bids, Zan would get one, Ethan Gajewski, Jay Hobbs, Ross Merriam. Dom might be on the outside looking in there. Actually, I think he'd be the last one in. Zan, Ethan, Jay Hobbs, Ross Merriam, Tarek Patel, Edgar Amagayesh, and Dominic Harvey. Those would be our last ones in, with Drake Sasser being 1 point away. So every point counts, if we have seen here on the SCG Tour, especially at these Opens, where the points are rather swingy because there's a lot available, as we saw with Oliver Tomiko.
Especially as you get to the top-heavy parts of the elimination rounds, top 4, top 2 finals, the distance between those finishes can more than account for, the difference between some top 32s and some top 16s.
Well, we can let you know what these players have locked up thus far. We're in the top 4 here, so everybody's walking out of here with at least $1,500, 15 SCG points, and an invite to our Season 2 Invitational at SCG Con Winter.
Their team is walking out of here.
Their teams, right. Yes. Thank you.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
We don't turn on the faucet like that.
I'm sorry. Didn't want there to be any confusion there. So 15 SCG points are certainly going to help everybody here who's looking to qualify for the Players' Championship, but especially Dominic Harvey. Harlan Fear is not too far down that leaderboard either. He sits currently in 16th place on our Player of the Year leaderboard with 95 SCG points, so 15 would bring him up to 110. And that gets his name back into the conversation in a very real way, though he is down a game right now. And it seems as though he's not even thinking too much about the use of that Tormod script. He's just moving along, big smile, getting ready for game 2. What are you going to do?
Well, here's the thing. He conceded to the Hogak, right?
Yeah.
And that's showing that even a more, modest opening there from Harvey would have been able to get the game over with if he didn't use the Tormod script. So if he knows he's beat by the Hogak anyway, he's got to at least try. Turned out that Harvey had about as explosive a draw as you can ask for and was able to do it in spite of the Tormod script. That doesn't mean Harlan made a mistake. If he's beat by the 8-8 and he knows it, you got to try.
Well, it's a Game 1 sweep for Team Harvey. Hobbs and Jeremy B. all have won game number 1, so Fear, Shrout, and Barich have got some real work to do. I mean some real work to do.
Mm-hmm. It's Shrout time.
It's Shrout time?
Shrout time.
All right. Burning 8?
Shrout time.
Look, he's on the play for game 2. There is that. There we go. Let's get this game rolling there, Dom and Harlan. Patrick and I can only talk up for so long without gameplay in front of us.
That's not true.
It's not even close to true.
That's not true.
It's not close to true.
I'm an extremely vain person. I like the sound of my voice a lot. Appear on podcasts. Do this. You have to be the work that I do. You have to be an egomaniac to be able to do it. I don't like to think of myself that way,
but
it has to be true.
But here we
are. How else could it possibly work?
It's true.
So I can sit here and fill the air, give you opinions about things, talk about the goings-on in my personal life up to a certain point. NBA free agency kicking off.
It's going nuts.
I know.
Adrian Wojnarowski is just going. He's just going at it right now.
I know.
It's the best. This is actually free agency day is one of the best days of the year.
It is and it isn't. I don't like. It's cool and the player movements and all the excitement. Oh, that's great. It was disappointing this year how much the impending free agency felt like it dominated the storyline compared to the actual finals that was going on.
I didn't feel that way.
I kind of did.
I mean, when the finals were taking place, I felt they were zoned in on the finals up until Toronto won, and then they got to celebrate it for like a day, and then boom, Anthony Davis time.
Yeah. So
the show must go on, baby. The show must go on. All right, weekly sale.
Talk to me about the things that are on
sale.
Normally they
cost
all
the shuffling. I got to sell people.
Normally
something.
they cost some amount of money, and for a limited time they cost some amount of money less.
There you
over at go.scgames.com/sale. The cards change every Monday, 11 a.m. East Coast time, so you've got a limited time remaining to save on such cards as Snow Cover Island, Settle the Wreckage, Water Market, Japanese Lorwyn Rare, many others.
It's Reese the Redeemed.
Reese the Redeemed.
We went over this yesterday.
Already blocked it out.
Okay.
It's like it never happened.
All right.
Go.starcitygames.com/sale. Head to the website tonight for a limited time. Check out the sale. Head on back tomorrow. See what new cards are available.
You know, Settle the Wreckage is just legal and no one plays it.
Yeah, I mean,
remember when that was like one of the best things you could do, and now it's just unplayable.
Right. You would imagine that it would be exhibit 1,427,322 about how power level is contextual and that people would finally begin to process that, but that's not how it works.
No. It's just a horrible card now. But like last standard season, it was just, oh no, should I attack the entire game?
It's almost like power level isn't an absolute thing, and it depends what card your opponent is playing.
That sounds correct. That sounds correct. A Mishra's Bauble.
Love the turn one attack your deck. That's how I resolve my Goblin Guy triggers.
Just attack your deck.
I tap the top of their deck. Yeah.
Blackleaf Cliffs, Citrus Supplier. Whipsmare, Carrion Feeder, and Insolent Neonator headed to the graveyard. We're heading back over to Harlan.
A motley crew.
Whatever it takes. Astrolabe. Draw a card. We're heading back over to Dom now. Get in there with that supplier. Teach him a lesson. Never miss your points. It's important. Never miss your points of damage. Verdant Catacombs, Alter Dementia. Dom is going to go towards what many consider to be plan B for this deck. But it is certainly a very good plan no matter what letter you want to associate with it. So we're going to go to Harlan. Harlan wants to stop that plan right away. Pitting Needle, I have to imagine, is naming Alter.
Yeah, that was the name last time. Important enough in the matchup from Harlan's perspective that he used War of Invention to shut it off.
Mm-hmm. It's a very scary card when it's online. Now Harlan will play a Dark Slick Shores that will enter the battlefield untapped. We're going to head back over to Dom Harvey now, see what he's got going on. Remember, in the sideboarded games, things get a little bit difficult for Bridgevine for two different reasons. One, your opponent's probably bringing more hate to the table, and two, you've diluted your deck some to be able to beat that hate. So you're probably not as explosive anymore.
Right, you slow down a little bit, but we're not talking about a list with 4 wear tears. He's got a little bit of an interaction. I think he's leaning on Cryptbreaker to kind of drag him through longer games where his graveyard may not be available.
Carrion Feeder is the play here for Dom to kick things off on his third turn. Going to sacrifice Stitcher's Supplier. Faithless Looting Bridges from below. Gravecrawler. And is there a Hogak to follow? There is not, but bridges are in the graveyard as we head back over to Harlan. He'll sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. Feels like he's in some trouble as there's a snow-covered island.
We might see a hard cast Leyline of the Void through the Astrolabe here.
Possibly.
Bang.
And we will. All right, well.
A little late to the party.
But not too late, I don't think. I think we're going to see Dom respond. He'll sacrifice Gravecrawler. Make a couple zombies. And remember, one thing about Leyline of the Void is that it doesn't remove the graveyard once it enters the battlefield, a la Rest in Peace.
It would be a bizarre line of text to have on a Leyline.
Yeah, so those cards that are in the graveyard are still they're still live. So there's a Faithless Looting down there, there's 2 bridges and a Gravecrawler. So Dom actually still has access to the cards that are there right now.
He also has drawn his 1 Wear Tear.
That is a good draw. Well, you draw like this, you're going to make this deck look really good.
And now I think Dom's in a position of wondering if it's even worth using the Wear Tear on a Leyline of the Void or saving it for something like Ensnaring Bridge.
It's a valid question. Looks like Fatal Push is going to be played here. Dom going to do a little bit of responding. He'll search up a Blood Crypt, and there's Wear Tear, killing both the Needle and the Leyline.
Extremely cool.
Fuse it and abuse it.
Yep. Just take care of Harlan's all of his best cards real fast.
Sacrifice the Carrion Feeder to the Altar Dementia. Get a couple of zombie tokens. Mill yourself a few cards. Harvey going to mill over Carrion Feeder, Plague Engineer, and a Bloodstained Mire. Going to deal Fear 4 points of damage.
Get Shrout queued up. Get Shrout queued up.
Okay. Don't worry, Burn Guy. We're working on it. Astrolabe.
Needs to find Ensnaring Bridge pronto.
We're going back over to Harvey now. Harvey in a very enviable spot. Where does he want to start this turn? He'll start by returning a Gravecrawler. He'll sacrifice Gravecrawler to the altar. 2 zombies on the way. Harlan's going to help him out a little bit here. He says you got 4 that can attack and 2 that can't, that are brand new. A little bit of shortcutting. Mill himself for 2. Super cool Hogak. Done. 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 That was, what did we draw that game? Needle and Altar.
Leyline.
Hardcast
late,
Leyline.
but, you know.
Anything else?
Not
I
really.
feel like there was one more piece.
He had a Fatal Push for the sack outlet.
That ain't it.
Just another card that was good. Queue up Shrout.
All right, Shrout's queued up.
Come on, Eidolon in post board.
Uh-oh, the match is over. The match is over.
The dream is dead.
Yep.
Dream is dead. At least we got a little glimpse of Shrout.
I think
the timing was perfect. Did our spotter say hold the handshake? Hold it. Don't throw your hand on the table just yet.